everyone. This is Corine Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course. Broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines. We always start our show off with gratitude or thankfulness, a burst of energy. Yes, anytime anybody comes on my show, that's one of the things that they say. Energy galore. Yes, we are alive, people, and I'm thankful to be alive. It's a beautiful day in Trinidad. I'm looking at it now. It's just so green, luscious. The sun is out. We have had so much rain here, but the rain keeps the place green. And I got some mangoes. I have to show off. Okay, I got some mangoes. Now these are not mangoes to all to my international audience where you buy it in a store. Okay, it's right outside on the tree, on the trees. Okay, so I got some mangoes from my neighbor, and I had two yesterday, and I have two in my fridge. So I'm showing off times four. Okay, so that I can tell you how I'm enjoying my natural mangoes that I did not buy from a store. Okay, that is what I'm grateful for, to have that kind of cherished moments with my mangoes. Okay, and you will see a lovely handsome man next to me, Burton Hughes. And I'm not sharing any of my mangoes with Burton, but should he come across to Trinidad, I may consider it. Okay, and here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about that's not for you, and the mangoes is not for you, Burton.
Oh, okay.
That's not for you. That's not for you. And let me tell you a bit about Burton. So Burton Hughes grew up tired of hearing the words, that's not for you. How many of us have heard that? That was so often unable to escape his impoverished upbringing. He was a child who had endured so much that he had very little hope of getting out of his tragic and tumultuous environment. And the statistics were grim. Then one horrific day, he almost lost it all. His life hung in the balance. The lowest point of his life taught him how much he had to live for, that he was called to have more in life, and that people were out there waiting for him to lift them up to find their own liberation and success. After implementing the 6 assets of alignment into his life, and you'll hear a bit more about later, he empowered himself to establish various businesses, modeled for multiple media outlets, and coach clients in reaching their elite life goals. He continues to strive for greatness every day, as we all should. His book, Align Your Empire, using the 6 assets of alignment as a catalyst to ignite your life, is out now. And it's on this website. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines. You're going to be seeing that a little bit later in the episode, so you know exactly where to go. So let me officially welcome Burton to Between the Lines. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for use your, your.
Yes, I appreciate you and appreciate having you. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. We're having a bit of a delay, so I'll wait for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. And like I said, it's one of those things. Everybody has a story, but at the end of the day, it's how you persevere and how you choose to, things may happen to you, but things that happen to you don't necessarily define you. So it's really just how you approach that, and things that I've learned along my life. I'm 39. I've allowed to implement kind of as lessons, and how I've chosen to rework that has allowed me to then, level up my life, and then also give me a perspective to help others as well, which is what I'm starting to find. It has really been my calling. So.
Lovely. No, I'm looking at you, Burton, and a lot of things coming through my mind. I'm looking at you. You're such a handsome man. You have a lovely dimple that reminds me of my son. He has a deep dimple just like yours in the chin. And I'm looking at you. And I'm saying to myself, that's not for you. And I've read your bio, because I actually abbreviated the bio because it's a little bit long to do the introduction. And so I cut out a lot of your life story, which I want you to share. But I'm looking at you and I'm saying to myself, look at this man. He seems to have everything going for him. He has the looks. His hair is all, he's looking swag. He has the dimple in his chin. That's not for you. What could be stopping you? I'm thinking to myself, a lot of people perceive, you watch others, just like how I'm watching you. And we feel they have so much going on for them. They have the looks, they have the shape, they have the complexion, they have the hair, they have the eyes, the lips, the nose. I mean, they're just, oh my God. And you would never think that deep down inside that individual, or like you said in your bio, the tumultuous, toxic environment that's going on within them as a result of what they are being exposed to. But externally, everybody thinks they got it going on. I want you to share with us, if you understand that perspective I'm coming from, put yourself in that position or explain your story within that context.
Talking about how do we prejudge people? Is that more or less the question? Is that what you mean? I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, yeah. Because saying I'm looking at you and I'm not going to think that you had that sort of a background.
I think the biggest thing for me, it's actually I flew home this past weekend just to remind myself, where you come from. Again, you don't dwell on the past, you just live and learn from it. But to give you a little bit of perspective, my mom was married 11 times. I grew up in a single wide trailer, and I live in the United States. I grew up in the Midwest in Ohio, and I grew up in a single wide trailer, and I had no idea we were necessarily like poor. I didn't understand that. And we thought the people that lived like in a double wide trailers, we thought they were rich, and my whole life I was always told like, that's not for you. I was always thinking big. Like I wanted to have like Lamborghinis and like all this stuff. And, where I was from, they're like, yeah, people that, come from where you are, like, we need to think a little differently because that's not really for you. And I was always like blissfully unaware of our circumstances. And then we ended up moving to the city to where once you move to the city, there's a lot more action going on. And my older brother got mixed up in the wrong crowd. And my mom worked 3 jobs, so she was never home. So we started dealing drugs out of the house. And I mean, you name it. I mean, the drive-by shootings at the house. I mean, there was one time I've got a picture of it, but my mom was laying on the couch getting ready to, go to work, and, bullets started coming through the house, and we never talked about it. We just like jumped up, everybody good. Yeah. One of the, bullets went into the couch on my mom. And,
wow.
I was in, that was like, I was 5th grade. And the thing is one thing that I've been really good at is I had the biggest smile on my face, but I was the one that was hurting the most, but I never let anyone know. No one was ever going to see me break, I think I call it like, being blissfully unaware, and you can ignore the problems, but I was riddled with stress. I literally had ulcers throughout all of my intestines, and I was having to take Acifex. So think about that. A kid that's in 5th grade that literally has stress as like an adult, but doesn't really have an outlet for it yet at school and things like that. I was always a high performer because I was able to compartmentalize that, but I had a dreamer mindset. And I always just knew there was something more. I was relentless. See, the thing is, we're all born relentless, and then you're taught to relent. Sit down, be quiet. That's not for you. And I think at some point, some people just you give up. And even as you become an adult, you may divorce or a job loss or something catastrophic that happens to you. You get knocked down, and some people never recover. It's one of those things to where with me, my mindset was always, and this wasn't taught to me. This was a God-given gift that allowed me to pull myself out and have that perspective. And the biggest thing that I can say is growing up the way I did in the violence, the same drug dealing brother, my brother was killed. He was shot point blank, in a drug deal gone wrong, by the time I got to 7th grade. So all these things, this violence, I was able to, those things happened. That's not for me. I chose differently. So I used that to give me empathy. So now in my life, I'm very empathetic with people, and I'm able to relate, and I'm able to help, like my clients and my customers, work through problems, because I feel like going through those things, it galvanized me and helped me with the empathy to then, to help people and serve others. So.
Here's the thing, Burton. Who really gives people permission to say that's not for you? Who gave them the authority to say that's not for you? I have heard it in my life. I mean, others would have heard it in different versions. Like, You can't do that. You just can't. So there are different ways of saying that's not for you. I have heard adults, parents, grandparents telling little children, you can't do it. And I'm like, how do you know that? Why are you setting the child up to literally fail, to be incompetent, to question himself? How dare you? Why? So, who gives people the permission or authority to say what is for you, what you cannot do?
You know, I think a lot of times be it teachers or even some of your family. I mean, I will say this, a lot of times it's your family trying to maybe save you from disappointment. I think a lot of times it wasn't really coming from a place of negativity. It was, I really think you need to set your expectations a little bit more in line with where you are, right? I want to believe that. I like I said, like especially with my teachers, when they were like, you really need, like, people where you come from, and we need to set the expectation, because I think they want to save you from disappointment, but at the same time they're literally crushing your dreams. But I was literally relentless. I did not want to hear it. I was almost so petty that I was like, watch me do it, and almost gave me a chip on my shoulder that there was no way that I was going to prove them wrong, and I have done so. And part of me, like, I feel like I won.
I hear what you're saying about the teachers and the family, and it's probably coming from a good place of trying to protect you. But really, I'm a parent, and I don't know if you're a parent, Burton. And I could understand the need to protect a child, but it's really your own fears, or that individual's or adult's fears that they're placing on another human being. And they have no right to do that. If you have your fears and inhibitions and limiting beliefs, it is not your place to perpetuate that. You should recognize within yourself what it has done to you and for you. And you should not do that to another human being. So they have no right. My thinking is, look, I'm here to make sure that you can be the best self that you can be. Yes, you may get hurt, you may break your hand, you may get hurt, whatever. If you get hurt, we deal with it. And why think the worst? Why not think the best? Why not put all the energy out there and say, you can excel, you could really ride that bike over the cliff and land on the other cliff. You could really do that. You could really fly. I mean, you could do it. I saw Batman and the rest of them do it. You could, you just go for it. I mean, I'm like, why can't you just leave it alone? If they die, at least they die trying. You cry and you say, yes, at least that person tried. You understand? At least that person tried. I didn't do it. I held back myself because I was scared. But that person, hell, they lived it. They lived it. Just leave people to be who they're meant to be and encourage that. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So then that's not for you, or you can't do it. People need to be aware of themselves when they're saying these things in different forms and versions, because they're actually projecting themselves, I think you mentioned, onto another human being, and it is not fair. And to use your background to limit you even further, to say, oh, well, you have drive-bys, your mother is a this, your brother is a that, so there's no hope for you. Why not? Look at you now with your handsome self and dimple in the chin. Come on. I mean, why not? Why not? Why you can't even turn out to be better than even the teacher in the classroom? Why not? Why not? That is not limiting you. It's because you have been through those things that makes you even stronger than the person who never went through it. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think the biggest thing is, now that I'm a father, I have 3 daughters. They're 5, 2, and 1. And my 5, I'm like super blessed, right? So the things that I've learned, growing up, I learned, how not to be a father. If that makes sense. I find myself, I don't want to say no. It's not that I'm saying no to my daughter. It's like I'm encouraging. So my daughter, Coco, she's 5, and kids are relentless. I mean, Daddy, I want to suck her. Daddy, I want to suck her. Daddy, I want to suck her. You're like, no. But then they just wear you down. They wear you down. You're like, all right, fine. Just take the sucker, whatever it is. But like, They ask, they want, because they don't have
Yeah.
like maybe being in sales or whatever. Like she's just relentless. They want. They're like the best salespeople. So when she says things,
That's right.
I never want to.
Yeah.
I never want.
Nothing is impossible.
I never want to stifle that.
Yeah.
I never want to stifle that. I want her to feel empowered. I want her to be strong.
No.
The way I treat her mother and the way I treat others, like I want her. I feel like, strong daughters, strong fathers, strong daughters. So I think like me showing up in my household and I make sure that we have breakfast and dinner every night, all the things that I didn't enjoy as a child, I'm able to rework that now. So yes, I'm providing for my kids. I make sure she goes to the best schools because it feels good for me. But part of that is nurturing and not necessarily telling her yes and no. I mean, obviously you got to do that, but it's more make better choices. So I'm talking to her more independent. I don't baby talk her, never have, but I'm encouraging her and I'm telling her I'm proud of her and I love her and that you work hard and, you show up, and that's one thing that she's got confidence, because it wasn't until I got to my mid-20s that I was truly confident. I would hide it well. I think one thing I was like, you're blessed with genetics. I do think that, God gave me, like maybe better looks or whatever. But the thing is I could be a terrible person with that. So things that, I was able to use my strengths, people are easily judged me like, oh, he's just, pretty base. But the thing is, when I start talking, you start getting credibility. So, the biggest thing for me is I didn't have the confidence growing up because of the way I grew up, right? But with that, I was able to rework that and always trying to challenge my mind. I read as many books as I could, because we didn't have money for the tutors. So I was constantly reading, but I just didn't have like the support. So I had to go out and find it. So, that's.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. How did you coming from a background like that, being surrounded by probably no hope, no way out. People are telling you that's not for you. You can't do it. Just keep yourself within this box because you can't do anything beyond there. What was a catalyst for you to turn you around and to become the person that you are today? What is it that it took?
Twofold. That's twofold. The day I came home on September 30th, 1994, got off the school bus, my neighbor walked over to me and she said, your brother, there's been an accident. Your brother's been killed. And it took the air from my lungs. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And that was the point in my life that I idolized my brother. He was my big brother. Even though I know he dealt drugs, I was like, well, maybe that's how I'm going to have to do to provide, because I saw the money, I saw the quick buck, right? So I was like, I was at a point in my life where you go one way or the other. So I chose not to do drugs. I don't drink. I don't do that. And then when I got into my 20s, I started working in real estate and I saw people, really excelling. And I saw people that had similar backgrounds to me and they weren't making excuses. So when I was 12, that's when I knew I was going to choose different. But then when I got to be 20, 21 is when you can actually start making choices that are going to do, that kind of changes your trajectory. That's what I did. I just started seeking. I started reading. I really started the information that I needed, the masterminds, the coaching, I just was always reaching up. I was 14 years younger than, I was always the youngest person. I was working in the real estate company. I was 14 years younger than anyone, but that's where I was reaching up again, relentless, blissfully unaware that the way the track that I was on wasn't normal. It was just because I chose different. And when people told me no, it just, you tell me no, I'm going to prove you wrong. And maybe that's the chip on my shoulder from when I was younger, but that's the difference, is that I was a dreamer, but I backed it up with follow through, and I always beat the odds. I always come through. So.
And that is a key. Dreaming is one thing because it stays just in your mind, but the follow through is the action behind it that will help you get out of the situation. You have to, and not only the follow through, but the consistency.
Yeah.
Now I want to hop over to your 6. Tell me the title of the book again.
So it's Align Your Empire, basically using the 6 key assets to ignite your life. So what I've done is I've identified 6 key.
Tell us all that.
Yeah, so there's 6 key areas of your life that I feel they're different for everyone. So everyone's trying to find balance in their life. And I really went after, everyone's trying to find balance. They want to be, all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't work. Look, if you're trying to start a company and you're trying to find balance, right? Well, if you're in a relationship or socially, that's going to take a back seat for a little bit. So you're never going to be able to balance the scale, because the way balance works is you take one from the other, you feed the other one, right? So that they balance. For me, I'm like, no, they need to be working in alignment. So if you're starting a company, this doesn't work. So I get them pointed in the same direction. So with my family, my wife, my 3 daughters, or whatever, my friends, I say, look, I'm just hypothetically, I'm starting a company. Here's what's going to happen. The next 30 days, look, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be driven. You're not going to see me as much. But what we'll do is at the end of the 30 days or whatever it is, we'll do something fun together, whatever it may be. But I really need to let you know that this is what I'm working on. I need you to be on my side. So now everything is together. The expectation is set that I may be gone for a little bit but the business is growing, that everyone is on board. So then the thing is now you got people that are rooting for you. They're not going to be upset because they don't see you. They understand the path. You painted the vision. So now you've got everything pointed in the right direction. Now synergistically, if I'm working on something, my daughter will be like, Daddy, like, how's your appointments today? Like, how did it go? So like everyone, like the expectation was set, right? But the way that that's how I went after balance. So then each of the areas, like mindset is first and foremost. Mindset was always key. But the thing is like, how do you train mindset? You don't learn it in school. So I had to read the book. So first thing, you got to have a strong mind, because you're going to have setbacks. But are you going to fall? Are you going to fold? Or are you going to be just relentless? The next one is faith. Faith is by, obviously not necessarily by seeing, but then I didn't want to exclude people that maybe are struggling with faith. So I said, look, faith can be faith spiritually, but it can also be like the self-development side, right? So I just wanted to make sure we're all very inclusive. And then family is huge. But maybe you don't have necessarily a large family or a family of your own. So then you may have a family, but then like a family of choice. See, the thing is there's going to be people in your life that, maybe we're friends, but like they're like your family of choice, or the people you're doing life with. That counts too. And then you got your fitness. See, the thing is for me, health and wellness is huge. I want to be able to walk my daughters down the aisle in 20 years. So I'm eating the correct food. I'm exercising because I want to bring my best mentally and physically. Because the thing is, if my body's breaking down, how can I perform and take care of my family and take care of my responsibilities? I think a lot of times people think like, I'm building a business, I'm grinding, right? They're ripping cigarettes or they're drinking because they're trying to deal with stress. But the thing is, you're killing yourself, right? So like, what are you doing it for? And then one of the biggest ones too is then your finances. Are you managing your finances? I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been all in between. But once I really started thinking about not necessarily saving money, because the thing is like a penny saved is like a penny earned or whatever. It's still a penny. So my thing was getting more on. This may rub some people wrong, and I apologize, but like think more on earning. What can you do to generate? I think a lot of times people are like, I gotta save, but you stop being on offense and looking for the opportunities. See, the thing is, I was so closed off when I was younger. I built a wall around my life, but that also then prevented for the blessings to come towards me. Me keeping everybody away, it kind of hurt me both, because I didn't have the relationships, but then I wasn't getting the blessings that were coming, maybe the business ideas, the opportunities, right? So for me, it was getting on offense and trying to generate more. What, different streams of income can I do? And not thinking about like 9 to 5. I was thinking like, I had 3 jobs when I was in school. I was cleaning the doctor's office. I was cleaning the bingo hall. I was working at the retail store and with the school. I just was able to manage my time. And then last but not least is network, like using your network, like all these things. It's complementary. They all work together. So if you're trying to find balance in your life and you're frustrated, it's because you're pulling from one and feeding the other. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't do it. So you need to make sure that sometimes, like the selfishness, you need to make sure that you're filling your own cup. And it doesn't mean you're taking from others. It just means that you're working on yourself, because the best thing you can do and the best thing you can do for others is making sure that you're feeding and you're taking care of yourself. Once you do that, then you can help others monetarily, responsibly, whatever it may be. So those were the 6 key areas. I've crashed and burned in all of them. I've been suicide. You name it, I've crashed and burned in all of them. I've done them all wrong. But once I identified what they
Yeah.
were and got them pointed in the direction, it was literally like someone put a rocket on my back and then I was off and running. So.
What I'm hearing from that is, and I'm going to switch to your website shortly, is finding your own rhythm. So, like you mentioned in the early, you knew what those 6 areas were for you. It might be different for me. And as soon I just have to be able to tweak until I'm able to find that rhythm that works best for me and just keep pursuing that. Yeah, let me see if I can switch over to your website here now. Let's have a look. Here we go. Are you seeing that? Align your empire. Is this you? Are you seeing that screen?
Yes.
Nice. So here we go. So let me get back.
So the book is getting ready to go.
So align your empire.
Yeah. So the book is getting ready to go on pre-sale. So what you can do on there is you can get registered. The publisher's putting like kind of, doing all the last little bit. But we have an app that's going to be coming with the book that's going to help you implement and track with your progress. And then with the, with the website itself is getting set up on the pre-order. So, yeah.
Lovely. Let's have a quick look at the 6 assets of alignment, like you mentioned, mindset, which is, I think, the major work, because all the activity, all the limiting beliefs, everything is stuck in this thing here. So this for me is the main thing, because once I get this sorted out, I think everything else falls into place. Get the mindset organized.
Yes, and
oh my God.
Yeah, and it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's not like 6 easy steps. That's not what it is. It's going to be one of those things you're constantly going to have to be touching these areas. And it's not like a get rich quick thing. It's more of just how to really make sure that you're keeping an eye. It's like you're trying to juggle all these things. I just figure these are the 6 areas. Once I identify these and I'm touching on them daily, that's when I really felt like my life changed. And I started kind of doing like a beta, started testing, and just with like friends and family and my coaching, my clients, I started implementing some of these things. And very quickly people were like, wow, like things are changing. And they didn't know what was going on. But in the back of my mind, I knew what I was doing.
Awesome.
It wasn't until COVID last year that I was like, I really need to write this and put this in and really, get it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, COVID really put us to the test. Let me put it like that. COVID put us to the test to see how resilient and relentless we are. And for those of us who had latent issues that came up to the fore, like Lazarus, we had to deal with a lot of stuff. So I think it really tests our resilience and how relentless we are. This is awesome. And you're encouraging persons to get the app so that, of course, they could do whatever activities. Yeah. And, of course, get a book. So 2 actions, get a book and get the app. I mean, it's pretty simple. So let me switch back to you here while I have this featured on the website so that persons can see that. So let's wrap up here with a question, Burton. So you are proposing this approach. What makes your approach different from anybody else's out there? What makes yours stand out? Why should persons really check you as opposed to going to somebody else? And that I know somebody else who's doing this, but I'm just saying what it is that makes you stand out.
The thing is, I tell people all the time, I don't think I'm saying anything necessarily revolutionary, right? I mean, you've heard all of these things, but I think it's the way that I've packaged it and then I've layered it in. It's not like 6 easy steps to greatness, because we've read those books and they're thin. This is more about expanding and really finding your own way. In the book, I'm not telling you need to do this, this, and this. I'm saying these are the things to look for. These are the things that I've crashed and burned. The thing is all of these 6 areas I've crashed and burned, right? And then I use that on what not to do. So I think the biggest thing is how I packaged it. And when you implement that, it's trackable. And then the app that goes with it, most people don't have that. So what we're able to do is with the app, it's actually going to allow you to over a course of 30 days, you can see how you're doing and how you're implementing it. So for me, it's not revolutionary. I think it's more in the packaging and in how it's more of a lifestyle versus like a 6 easy steps. This is not like a one and done book. This is one that you're going to keep coming back to because you're going to have a strong mindset, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be struggling with faith. So you make back to the faith section and be like, what am I missing? What did he do? How did he structure faith to make sure that that's now complementing his mindset? And then how is faith then helping him grow his family and making sure that this guy is showing up in his family, male or female, whatever it may be, right? Because there's got to be parts where you're going to have to push and pull a little bit more in certain areas because remember, we're not finding balance. We're making sure we're optimizing everything. So you said rhythm, 100% it's rhythm. This is all this is. And it's not a quick, it's not a quick fix. This is more of a roadmap, and in whichever direction you're going in your life, this is these 6 areas. You just need to make sure that in these areas, in your mind, this is the checks and balances. So before one falls too far and brings the whole thing down like a house of cards, this will allow you to notice if you're starting to suffer in one area. This will allow you to have the checks and balances in there. I just think it's more of the packaging, the approach. I think people are going to find it very refreshing. It's not a, super complex. I think sometimes things are just too complicated. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's not that. It's more of a lifestyle to be your best, bring your best every day, and really just a roadmap for you. And each person is going to have their own journey. It's just how are you showing up daily. It shows you what you can do and what I've done wrong along the way. Yeah.
What you're saying reminds me, and let me just use this example, a recent example, to sum up what you just said. Sorry. I remember going to the supermarket the other day, and I met this young woman, and we ended up in front of the freezer section, or the cold section, and I was going for yogurt, and she was going for yogurt as well. So we were discussing, yogurt and the probiotics and stuff like that. And she said, I'm trying to lose weight. She's trying to lose weight. She has lost so much. She's trying to lose weight. So I said, listen, you got to get on some greens, your green smoothie, come off of the meat, reduce. I'm not saying to just cut off meat one time, but start weaning yourself, the carbs, the flour, and all those different things. And well, when I told her about the meat, her eyes open wide, and she's like, no, and whatever. But then she said to me, how long will that take? I said, listen, that focus is wrong. It's not how long will it take, or it's about the journey. You're supposed to be enjoying the journey. You're putting in the right things into your body. You're exercising. Don't put your focus on how long it will take. She wants me to tell her, well, in 2 weeks' time, in 30 days, in 15 days, this is going to happen for you. Kapawi. This is going to happen. No, I am not going to tell you that, because your expectations are going to be set there. And if you don't do it, you're like, oh, this thing doesn't work. This is a failure. As opposed to coming from a place of, I am just going to enjoy putting the right things into my body. I am going to enjoy, just treating myself well, the self-care. And if the weight goes, it goes. If it doesn't, no problem. I just feel good about this. And I just wanted to use that example to summarize what you're saying. It's not a matter of get rich quick, focus on this and kapow, this is going to happen. It's not about that. It's about enjoying the journey. I would leave you to close up with any final words, Burton.
Just to piggyback kind of on what you said, I deal with a lot of people that are dealing with the weight issue, and I tell them, look, you didn't put on 30 pounds. You're not 30 pounds overweight because you put it on in 2 weeks, So I tell people, I said, look, if you're trying to lose that 30 pounds, break it down to a pound a week. Just setting the right expectation. But the thing is, you can lose the weight quicker than it took you to put it on because you don't gain it in 2 weeks, which means you're not going to lose it in 2 weeks. But you're right. You need to look at your diet, something like this, not all the things you can eat, but look at all the things that you can. And that's just a flip of the switch of what you're trying to do. And one thing I will tell you is always make sure don't just try to do the next quick fad, like I'm going to go no carb, or don't set yourself up for failure. Just know what works best for you. If there's anything I can do to help, so if someone's kind of struggling with the weight thing, by all means, reach out to me with social media, and I can help point you in the right direction on that, because that stuff just doesn't work, and we've got a lot of success with our people and what we're doing. So I just
enjoy the journey. Oh my God, just enjoy the journey. Treat yourself well, feel good about you, and just do things. You feel to go shopping, you might end up going in the store, you put on something and you're like, ooh, I need a smaller size. Ooh, something is happening here. Do makeup, do your nails, do whatever. Just enjoy the journey. Stop focusing on when it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Just take your time. Take your time. Burton, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. We spent a wonderful time together. We went a tad bit over time, but that's okay. This is my show and I
It's
can do
your
what I
world.
want. So so I want to thank you so much for sharing your six assets. I mean, people can take it, twist it, start wherever they wish. It's their program. They should connect with you on the app, obviously. And of course, everybody has a phone these days and of course can connect to an app. And check out your
Thank
website.
you.
And I hope that everybody can turn around their life just in the same way or even better than what you did,
Yeah,
because we have to
absolutely.
better Burton's life. Okay, we're not here to do what Burton did. We have to better Burton's life. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. Thank you
I
so
appreciate your
much.
time. Thank you.